Well, greetings and salutations, everyone, and welcome back to tonight's second half. Before we get into it, a couple links. As you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, and my merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. The links to Patreon, PayPal, and my merch is displayed directly under this video. Also, Dogman, Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeffrey Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, the links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support this channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe, click the like button, and please leave a comment. It really does help, and it definitely matters. And now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's get on with tonight's second half, shall we? Well, it is a beautiful fall day in the Adirondacks of New York, and I decided to take a trip up north to where the only missing 411 upstate New York has had, Tom Mezek. I went to Brant Lake today, and I took a hike, and I shared some interesting theories that I have been thinking about and kicking around. Let's get into it. Alright guys, I got the blue vest back on. It is fall and I am up where Tom Mezek disappeared once again. Beautiful day, probably 58, 60 degrees. I got a couple of interesting theories that I wanted to run by you guys while I was up here. So let's take a walk, check out the area, and see what we get. So it was November 15th day back in 2015 when Tom Mezek and his family and friends went on a hunting trip, and he did not come back from that hunting trip. This is that area where he disappeared. During the investigation, there was 5 square miles searched, and no sign of him was ever found. He had a rifle. He had a red checkered cap on. None of that was ever found. He had a walkie-talkie with him as well, which nothing was located. Very strange. Definitely not something you'd think would happen on a beautiful day in a beautiful area like where I am right now. It is absolutely dead silent here. Very tranquil though. Something that Tom felt that day when he posted up. He had posted up, a bunch of younger hunters were with him, and he and a couple of the older guys sat and waited for the younger guys to push the deer towards him and his party. And at around 4:30, 5 o'clock, the hunt was over. They called for Tom. Everybody else reappeared out of the woods on Lily Pond Road, off of Lily Pond Trail, which is where I am right now. And there was no sign of Tom. They honked the horn, shot their rifle in the air, Nothing. And once again, the family and friends that were with him were questioned, but nothing ever panned out. There was no proof, I guess, or kind of feeling that they were involved in this disappearance. Strange thing is a family member of mine was involved in that search, a pretty key, vital part in that search, and interviewed in a video, a movie, I guess we'll call it, from a reputable YouTuber, I guess, if that's what you want to call him. And my uncle said to this guy, hey, we have a lot of Bigfoot in this area. There's been a lot of reported bipedal humanoid cryptids out here. What about that? That wasn't even thought of in that video. And I'm not knocking that video or that person. Believe that, because I feel like that person did the missing person of the state parks a service, bringing it to our attention. And but for not to acknowledge it until later on, when the cryptid kind of community, wow, it's absolutely yellow where I'm standing. It is absolutely gorgeous. But once again, back to the cryptid community isn't recognizing him. So like I was saying, the cryptid kind of community sprung up, and that's when people started to think about Tom Messick possibly being abducted by a Bigfoot, Dogman, or possibly a crawler. I mean, if these things are as mobile and adapted to living in the woods as people say they are, this location would be perfect for it. There's a couple of other theories that I have not spoken about ever, and one is because I just found out about it. I'm going to take the camera off myself now and kind of pan around while I'm talking about this strange theory that is not talked about. But this person that made this movie, there is mention of something in that movie, but nobody connects the dots and nobody really thinks about what that could have been. And I started doing some looking into the region way back, and I came up with something. So let's get into that now, but I want to pan around so you guys can see the area. All right, so my camera is level with me right now, and that's just the one side of me. That's to my left, and to my right is that, and then it just goes on forever. So one of the things that was mentioned in this movie was a metallic clang, a kind of metallic noise. Now, in the 50s, in a portion of upstate New York in the Adirondacks, there was a military kind of structure, whether it be an underground structure or what, I'm not sure. I know that part of it was found underground, but there was supposedly, what is that? Some kind of stink, but not like a wet dog or anything, just a pungent smell. So there was this, I guess, military base that was discovered in Saranac Lake, and supposedly there were photos of children and photos of beds in there. And I guess what is said about this location is that it was a kind of super soldier program. Children were brought there and trained. So if this structure was underground in Saranac Lake, which is not too far from where Tom was hunting, what if there were other kind of underground military installations up there? And what if, just what if, these crawler things that people are seeing are some sort of military super soldier program gone awry? And that metal clanking noise was an underground door, or a door in the woods somewhere, and whatever came out of this underground structure grabbed Tom and pulled him into it. He was an older guy, and these, whatever, let's just say super soldier kind of whatever grabbed him. It wouldn't be hard to overpower an older guy, and then to quickly enclose him in this kind of sub-tunnel or whatever. There would absolutely be no sign of him anywhere. Now, it's a theory of mine that I've been kicking around, but I also will provide proof of this military installation that had been looked into. I guess a guy probably 40 or 50 years ago stumbled upon it. He ended up disappearing. And his, I think, grandson found some photos in a box that was taken out of the area, and that's how he became aware of it. He posted it online, and that's how this kind of legend, well, not even a legend, it's true that there was an installation there, came to light. No one would have ever known. I mean, look at this place. This is, if there were a underground installation here, you would never, ever know. It is dead silent out here too.
you'd never be able to find it. The guy happened to stumble across it. He was walking just like I am, and I guess kicked something that happened to be the hatch to this kind of military installation. What if that is the cause of the disappearance of Tom Messick? And what if this guy who found the installation disappeared because he found it? I know his grandson hasn't talked about it online in, gosh, 10 years, somewhere around there. So, but that's a theory. I just wanted to come up here and kind of get a feel of it again. I haven't been up here in a year, and I actually miss being here. So, absolutely beautiful, but absolutely deadly as well.
So the remaining part of the hike went fine. There was no commotion in the woods. Only had that happen 2 to 3 different times on the 10 to 12 different times I've been up there. It was a beautiful, beautiful fall day. And I had discussed a theory up there. And I had shared information that I had gotten wrong. Saranac Lake had a nuclear installation. There was a nuclear silo, underground silo up there. The project that I was talking about was called the Indian Lake Project. I had heard about it well before I had even started this channel. My friend's dad, who lives up in Tupper Lake, had told us about, some sort of military installation where they were training super soldier kids and stuff like that. And this is, 2000, somewhere around there, maybe 1999 or something like that. And yeah, it was 1999 to be exact. Yeah. And the reason why I know it was 1999 was because I had just started I started my painting business at that year, and my friend was helping me. So the Indian Lake Project got brought to light in 1997, 2 years before. I had heard about this from my friend's dad. Also, I had talked to my dad about it a couple years back. Now, my dad was career Navy. He was in Vietnam before the conflict was even a conflict. Actually, he wasn't in Vietnam prior to he was over in Laos and Cambodia doing some, I guess, secretive work. My dad was in the Naval Intelligence, which is different than the Navy, for those of you who don't know. My dad had told me about a couple things in this area as well. That's how I got the Saranac and Indian Lake thing mixed up, because I knew there was something up there. But interestingly enough, when I looked at this Indian Lake project online about 5 years ago, there was a huge blog post about it. That blog post is taken down now. It's gone. And there's little remnants of it throughout the internet. And it's labeled, what information is available online is labeled as a creepypasta. Indian Lake is a town of 1,200 people, 13 tops. All right. The Indian Lake is a hidden gem in the Adirondacks. Most people don't even know about it. For some creepypasta creator to create a story about a town that almost doesn't exist in the Adirondacks is far-fetched. I really think that the government shut this blog post down and labeled this as a creepypasta because there's like a couple of little sections on Wattpad or whatever it is. You can actually find a little bit of information online about it, but this is what essentially the Indian Lake Project was. The Indian Lake Project, disturbing Adirondack legend or lunacy, you decide. Top secret military research facility called the Indian Lake Project. This facility performed mind control experiments on children in the 50s. Research reveals that the Indian Lake Project, also known as ILP, was a branch of the CIA's Project Artichoke, which was later renamed MK-Ultra, both real CIA projects. Typed notes on photo read as following: unidentified white female between the age of 8 and 10 years old. Subject underwent 6 months of treatment using heavy doses of LSD, electroshock, and sensory deprivation. Experiments under codename MK-Ultra. About early 60s, subject's memories was erased. Her brain is that of a newborn baby. The Indian Lake Project has taken on a life of its own and has managed to grow into a story that will not abate anytime soon. Bear in mind, this has many parts, and since what information is limited, mass media, wall of silence, and cover-up regarding mind control projects in general, the electronic mind control in particular. So basically, in the 50s and 60s, there was this underground installation where children were experimented on. I'm imagining they were kids from up here in this area. And the photos that are going along with what I'm sharing now are all photos that were found in this box that the photo has been displayed. In 1997, a hiker was hiking out in Indian Lake, and he had kicked a kind of hatch. He thought it was a root or something. Opened it up and went into this kind of tunnel structure. Went down in there and found all kinds of crazy rooms, this box, pictures, and he proceeded to do some information gathering and stuff like that and started sharing it online. And after that, everything kind of just stopped. I don't even know if this person is around anymore. I know that some people that did investigate into it disappeared, which is strange because that is even labeled as like a hoax. And I really think the CIA had done some crazy stuff up here. It's a perfect place to do it. I may be sounding like I'm off my rocker, but if you really think about how Tom Mezek disappeared and then the FBI just shows up out of the blue, I think that was kind of like information control. You know, don't let anything get out. Of course, the local county and state police are involved, but then boom, here's the feds. Tom Mezek was not a tender-aged youth, and there was no state lines crossed, so they should not have been here. it's just a very strange kind of story that happened in my backyard, and I am obsessed with it. I will tell you that right now. And I think that that metal clang that was heard that day that he disappeared by, I believe it was Tom's brother, was a hatch closing. And something pulled him into that hatch. And that's why we haven't found any kind of anything from him. Who knows what it is? Who knows what pulled him down? Maybe these experiments, these MK Ultra experiments, went too far. Maybe that's where these crawlers come from. I don't know. But I know that this man has disappeared, and we are coming up on 7 years, and his poor family has no answers yet. So, but this is some of the information that I've gathered. This is my theory. It's not the only theory I have. I have a bunch. But I'm not going to rest until I really get some sort of definite proof of where Tom went to and what happened to him on a November 15th, 2015 day, fall day. It was a nice day, actually. All of a sudden, he's gone, hunting and never to come back. Not an article of clothing, not his weapon, not his walkie-talkie. Why didn't he use his walkie-talkie to call out for help? Why didn't he use his rifle to stop the danger that took away Tom Mezek from his family? No one knows. Anyway, this is just one theory that I have of this case. And I want to thank you guys for taking some time out of your evening to really look at this. And, you know, if you guys got any theories of it yourselves, I'd really love to hear them. My email is in the description below. And just stay safe when you're out in the woods, guys, because honestly, you may think you know the area that you've been traversing for, you know, your lifetime, but I don't know. There's something out there. Definitely. Anyway, guys, may the Great Spirit watch over us all, and may He guide us down that path that we call life.